Good evening. This is Prophetess Jamela. So I had this dream that I wanted to share with you guys on a platform. In the dream, I was sitting around in the living room with myself and some friends, and outside of the picture window, there were people dancing and carrying on. It was almost like a music video, but it seemed kind of like I just knew it was off. And inside the house, in the living room where we were sitting, it was very loud. People were talking loud amongst each other. And I was trying to show them what was going on outside of the window. I said, "Look, look." But no one turned around. They ignored me. Then eventually they looked. So inside that dream, I had a vision. I went into a vision and I was telling the people in the house, I was like, I have this vision that I want to share with y'all. And everyone was talking loud. They were ignoring me. They didn't hear what I had to say. And so the more I tried to tell them what the vision was, the louder they got. So I told one of my friends that was sitting across the room, I said, I want to share a vision, but I can't because everyone is talking. She said, come over on this side of the room and then you can tell us what happened in the vision. So I proceeded across the room and I sat down and I started telling them this vision that I had. And in the vision, back in the day, they had these porches that were kind of like L shaped, like wrapped around, and it had a front door. And on the side of the porch was a screen door with another door. Well, this young man was running out that door down the steps, but he had a shotgun in his hand. And as he was coming down the steps, the woman was coming out of the front door. He lifted up the shotgun and shot the woman. Then the dream turned to a different scene. And in this next scene of the dream, it was this coffee table. That's what we call it now. You guys probably call it something else because, new age people call things differently than what we do back in the day. But it was this coffee table in the middle of the floor of the living room, and it was full of guns, full of like pistols, pistols and just a whole bunch of guns was all across the table. As a matter of fact, the whole table was full of guns. And the Spirit of the Lord said to me, this is a warning. Be prepared for what is about to come. So, what I personally got out of the dream, it was like a few things that stuck out to me in the dream. The first thing being when I was trying to tell the people to look, look, and they ignored me when I was trying to tell them what was going on the outside. They didn't want to hear what I had to say. They continued to talk. They were continuing to be loud, and and the fact that they eventually did look, but it took them a while to look. And even after they looked, they weren't moved by what they were seeing. However, I knew something was off. And then the other part of it that stood out to me is when I had a vision inside of a dream. I've never had a vision inside of a dream. And I am a dreamer. I have many of dreams. A lot of my dreams are end time based. And the fact that they got louder, their voices grew louder and louder and louder. The more I tried to talk, the louder they became. And then my friend told me to come across the room and sit over there and explain to them, tell them about the vision that I had. So those parts stuck out to me. in the dream. And the interpretation that I'm getting out of it, even right now as I'm speaking, is the fact that the picture window was something to come. Like, you're seeing outside is something to come. And other people didn't realize what was going on. As a matter of fact, they were sort of blinded to it. Like they didn't want to hear, they didn't want to know what was going on. They were so consumed with the things that they were doing inside of the house. And the other part of it was that we were in a living room. And in the living room is a comfortable place, it's a comfortable space. So they were comfortable in where they were. And the other part of it, when their voices grew louder and louder and louder, it let me know that the enemy will try to silence your voice. The enemy will try to have you to shut up, like you don't know what you're talking about. No one's listening to you. But behold, there was a ram in the bush. And the woman of God called me across the room so that I can explain what happened in the vision that I had. So there will always be someone, amen, that will listen, that will hear what it is that you have to say, what the spirit of the Lord is telling you. But there are others who are so comfortable and where they are, they're not willing to come out of that comfortability of, talking, amongst themselves. They're not willing to come out of the space, of that space, to hear what the spirit of the Lord is saying. And the part where the guns were all over the table, that let me know definitely something is about to pop off, like they said back in the day, something about to pop off. And so I say to you to be prepared. I'm not saying go out and buy a bunch of ammunition and buy a bunch of guns. I'm not saying that, but I'm saying whatever you have to do to protect you and your family, by all means do it, because the Lord said this is a warning. Be prepared. So if he said that to me in my dream, in my the vision of my dream, if he said that to me, if the spirit of the Lord said that to me, then you better believe something is definitely coming. Something is brewing, okay? And we need to be prepared for what it is to come. So I just say to you on tonight, just be prepared. Get your house in order. Have a plan for your family. You know, sit around with your family and talk to them. Come up with a game plan of what it is you guys need to do, because something is definitely brewing, and you need to be ready and you need to be prepared. Amen.